Hello, everyone. We have people logging on, so we'll give them just a minute or two to get settled. All right, welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Link Center today for this shared learning group focused on the topic of health and wellness. I'm going to go over a few housekeeping items while we get started. The session is being recorded, and the recording and the transcript will be made available on our website. We welcome you to revisit the content yourself and share it with others. Attendees cannot see the names of other attendees, and all attendees are muted. Please use the chat function in Zoom to communicate with other attendees and the host during the webinar. You can use the chat by clicking on chat at the bottom of your screen. Be aware that your name will appear in the chat if you make a comment, and you can change your display name if you'd like by clicking those three little dots next to your name and selecting rename. We will have representatives from the Link Center watching the chat and responding throughout the session today. If you'd like to submit a question or a comment privately to the host and panelists, you can do that by clicking on the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We have live captioning and ASL interpreters present today, and we will be spotlighting the active speaker and the ASL interpreter throughout the webinar. If you click on View on your Zoom screen, you can change the way you see the panelists. And if you're having any trouble with your view, please let us know in the Q&A and we'll try to help. At this time, I'm going to hand the floor over to Dr. Stacy Nonamaker, who will start today's presentation. Stacy, the floor is yours.
Thanks so much, Stephanie, and hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. By way of a visual description, I'm a middle-aged white woman with wavy brown hair. I'm wearing a tan sweater today with the black stripes, and I am wearing glasses and in front of a white background with the Link Center logo. So great to have you here with us from the Link Center today. We are a grant funded by the Administration for Community Living with our aim to improve access to mental health services for people with disabilities. Today, we're going to be talking about health and wellness, and I think it's really appropriate to be talking about that in the month of January of a new year. So we're glad again to have you all take time out of your busy lives to join us. We are very, very excited to announce that tomorrow we are unveiling a new website for the Link Center. Today is the last day of our old website, the acl.gov/the Link Center. So you can still go there and check us out if you haven't checked out our website yet. We always say check us out often because we're always updating the resources, information on that website. But that QR code in the middle of your screen will take you to the brand new website tomorrow. And as you can tell, we're very excited about this new website. We feel like it has more to offer for you all as we all work together to really think about how to better support and improve mental health access for people with co-occurring conditions. There are many partners that make up the Link Center, and some of them you will be meeting today. That we are, as partners, we're just really grateful to be working together side by side to do this work. And one of the partners is the Ohio State University Nisonger Center. They are doing some really amazing research on the health, mental health, and wellness of adults with intellectual disability. And they're recruiting right now. They're looking for other folks who identify as individuals with an intellectual disability to be part of this research. Really important research. We're really trying to figure out what's the prevalence of this population. How do we better support people and their mental health? So we're going to play a quick video for you all because we're asking you to, if you're somebody that they're looking for to be part of this research, please contact the OSU. Or if you know somebody, please share this with them. So let us just play this video real quick for you all.
How do you feel today?
I feel pretty good.
Flabbergasted.
Like $2,000, my man. Like $2,000.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Happy. Because I've been doing good work today.
How do you stay happy?
Simple answer, 2 words, video games.
By smiling.
Well, when I see Disney movies.
I have like my cat.
I enjoy my life. I'm playing games and I working out.
What do you do to make yourself feel better?
Winning.
I cuddle with my cat.
Talk about my feelings.
What makes me feel better is like I meditate because it calms me down, and I like to pamper myself, like using face masks and stuff. I listen to music. I have like a stress ball, so I play with the stress ball.
I like to eat.
I try to think that I got this whenever I'm faced with a difficult situation.
We want to hear from you. Join our health research project for adults with intellectual disability. You and your support person will get a $100 gift card. We want to hear about your experience with health so doctors can provide better care. Your voice matters.
Make your voice heard in our new research project about health and wellness called Can You Hear Us Now? Brought to you by the Ohio State University Nysonder Center.
Can you hear us now?
This video was produced by the Human Development Center at LSU Health New Orleans with the help of our Paycheck program. Learn more and sign up online at go.osu.edu.
Thanks so much. We'll go ahead and put the information that you see on your screen in the chat if you're interested, and or again, if you want to share it with someone that you know that you think would be a good match for this research. But it's also pretty cool that the information that they shared in the video and this research very much aligns with our topic of health and wellness today as well. So I think that's a really good way to get us started. So you know a little bit about us, who we are here at the Link Center, and I see that some of you have already said hello in the chat. But if you could just take a moment and introduce yourself in the chat, maybe let us know any organizations or affiliations that you have. If you want to let us know where you're dialing in from, that's always fun to know where people are from and have an idea who we're talking to today. A few other pieces of housekeeping and just ground setting, if you will. For those of you who haven't been with us for our shared learning groups in the past, we host these quarterly and we do 4 sessions every quarter. Yesterday, we did 2 sessions, one for direct support professionals and one for clinical professionals. Today, we're doing one for families of folks with lived experience, and a little later today, we'll also be doing a session for people with lived experience. The information across all 4 of these sessions is essentially the same. We do tweak the content and talking points a little bit so that they're tailored and relevant for the different audiences. The content and the information that you'll see today really is a collaboration of the Link Center partners. And as I mentioned, you're going to meet a few of them today. And this includes people with lived experience, researchers, and people who work on policy issues. Stephanie did mention that we'll record and transcribe today's meeting, and that means that we're going to write down all the words that people say in the meeting, and we'll have materials from today's meeting available on our website. And we really encourage you all to not just share what we share with you from today's meeting, but anything that you find on the website that you think is really helpful and relevant. So some of the goals for today is that we're first, as the Link Center, going to share with you things that we've learned, things that we think about when we are thinking about health and wellness, and how that relates to and the importance of health and wellness for people with co-occurring conditions. We're going to share some resources with you on this topic. And then the shared part is that we want to hear from you all. So a little later in our time together, we're going to offer a scenario and hear how you react to that and ask you to share any resources, training, information that you may have that you could share with us at the Link Center. One of the really important pieces of the Link Center is that the work that we do is guided by people with lived experience, and we call them our steering committee. And when we started these shared learning groups a few years ago, the steering committee suggested that we start the shared learning groups by really setting the stage and making sure this really is a shared experience. So I'm going to go through some of our, let's call them agreements. First one is take care of yourself. Do what is necessary for your comfort and care. We should be gentle with ourselves and each other because sometimes this is hard work to do. We celebrate that we are all individual from different backgrounds. We celebrate that we have shared experiences to learn from. And we know that we are each unique with our own experiences in this world. And finally, we listen and share with open minds and kindness. We want to hear from everyone, your experiences, your reactions, and we do not judge or blame others for what they share. So this is the first time, and you'll see this slide another time throughout the slide deck today, where we're going to say, this is an open call for you all. And we ask that if you have any resources, trainings, websites, or places you go to get information about how to improve your health and wellness, we want to hear from you. At the Link Center, we have the opportunity to elevate and highlight, good practices and things that are out there that we can tap into. And we can do that on our website. And we also have the ability with our collective resources to fill some of the gaps that are out there and develop resources and information. And you'll see that on our website as well. So before I turn it over to my colleague to talk more about the topic today, I just want to share with you because I really like thinking about the topic from my own perspective as a supporter and a family member. I like to first think about myself as it relates to something because often the way that we support or how we're supporting someone is based on natural human experiences and not always a disability specific experience. And health and wellness really is, in my eyes, a natural human experience. And when I think about the things that positively impact my emotional, physical, mental well-being, and I think about them together collectively, I think I see three things that they have in common. And one example that pops up for me, and I shared it yesterday, is that it's really important for me every morning to take my morning walk. And I think it's a good example because it can illustrate those three things. The first thing is I have a choice whether or not I want to take that walk in the morning, right? The second thing is there is some motivation for me to take that walk in the morning. And it comes from knowing that it makes me feel good after I do it. It comes from being motivated because it gives me time to really meditate and think about my day. And the other thing that motivates me is that my dog needs to go out. I have a cute dog and I am more than willing to take the time to go on a morning walk with him. The third thing is the things that are positively impact my emotional, physical, and mental well-being is that it's often something that's easy to do. It's not hard for me, right? So these three things, as my colleagues are walking through the rest of the content for today, I want you to think about them, especially through the lens of a supporter and how, as a supporter, you can consider the importance of choice, the importance of being motivated to do something, and the importance of feeling like you can do it and it's not something that's hard for you, because often hard things we shy away from, even if we know they're good for us, right? So I want you to think about those three things as you think about how to support someone to improve their health and wellness. So now I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Wendy Morris from NASHBID. Wendy, thanks so much for being here, and I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Stacy. And I love your comments and sharing with us what you do and why you do the things to protect your health and wellness, especially when you talk about your dog. So love that. So yes, my name is Wendy Morris, and I'm with NASHBID, the National Association of State Mental Health Program Directors. We're a member organization, and we work with the commissioners or directors for the state mental health system across the United States and territories. And so really glad to be here with you today. I am an older white woman with long gray hair. I have it in a ponytail over my shoulder today, and I'm wearing glasses and a black turtleneck. We can go to the next slide. So as we said, today's focus is on health and wellness. And what's really important to keep in mind as we go through this content is to remember that we each get to decide what being healthy and feeling well means to us. It's different for everyone, and we all get to decide for ourselves what that means. We want to keep in mind that it's possible to be healthy and to feel well, even when you have medical conditions or disabilities. We don't ever want to think somebody can't reach a higher level of health or wellness because they have an illness or a disability. We also know that health and wellness are continuums or ranges. Some days we feel better than other days. Some days we feel worse than other days. So it's, it kind of goes back and forth depending on what's happening in our lives. We also know that healthy habits can protect our future health and wellness. So what we do today to take care of ourselves is going to make tomorrow a little easier. And if we do it every day, all of our tomorrows will be a little better, and maybe we'll live a longer and healthier life. We also know it is never too late to adopt new and healthy habits, which is always great to know. We just got a balance board here in my house. So at my age, I am learning something new to try to protect my health and protect myself from falls as I continue to age. But as we go through this again, focus on yourself, what you can do for your health and wellness, and what you can do to help your family member improve their health and wellness as they choose to. Next slide. So as I said, very individualized. But if you'll put in the chat, what does being healthy and feeling well mean to you? For some of us, it's feeling energized or feeling productive or well-rested. But what does it feel like to you? What does that mean to say, I am healthy and I feel well today? And if you'll just put those in the chat. Anybody willing to share? Oh, here we go. Peaceful. That's a great one. So if your mind is at peace, it's a good indication. Energized, able to function, well rested. Here they all come. Great. What else? Having positive relationships. Great. All right. So we'll talk about several of these things as we go along. We can go to the next slide. Just keep putting those in the chat if you don't mind, just so we can all kind of learn from each other how that's different for different people. So I'm going to go through a few slides now just to kind of some visuals of some of the concepts I'm talking about. So this first one here is a wellness continuum. And there are lots of versions of this, lots of variations. If you were to go on the internet and Google wellness continuum, you'll see all different kinds of pictures. This one uses colors of the rainbow and words, but you might choose to use one with emojis, right? With a happy face and a sad face, a neutral face, all kind of showing how somebody might be feeling in a given day. You could use numbers, right? A scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the best you can feel and 1 being the poorest. Whatever works for you or your family member. This particular one kind of shows that comfort zone in the middle where you're feeling okay, but maybe not as well as you could be. Then it shows wellness kind of developing to the very highest level an individual could achieve. And then on the other side, you see as wellness slips away, disease starts to develop, and we might even see premature death where if somebody's not taking care of themselves, they could develop illnesses that would cause them to live fewer years than maybe they could have otherwise. Next slide. Also, we're going to watch this little video. This is about dimensions of wellness, which if you kind of think it as buckets, like so different categories that they'll talk about of things, how we bucket wellness. And this particular one is from SAMHSA, the Substance Use Mental Health Services Administration, because that's the federal organization that we work with at NASHBID. But there are lots of them out there. Some divide those buckets into 10, some into 6. So there's all kinds of variations. This is just the one I like. You might find one you like better. But let's go ahead and watch this video and then we'll talk about it for a minute.
The Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, or SAMHSA, created the Wellness Initiative to help people with mental and/or substance use disorders, and all people, live longer, healthier lives by focusing on the 8 dimensions of wellness that connect all aspects of behavioral health. Improving wellness by taking action on each of these dimensions addresses early mortality from treatable and preventable conditions. Embracing wellness is about life and living, and becoming the healthiest you possible. Listen to your feelings, express them to people you trust, and maintain a positive outlook. Make it a point to understand your finances, establish good financial habits, and plan for the future. A sense of belonging and a reliable support system help during difficult times. Make at least one social connection daily. Seek advice from peers or support groups, and create healthy friendships. Enhancing your connection to self, nature, and others brings balance and peace to your life. Take time to discover what values and beliefs are most important to you. Look for satisfaction from things you're passionate about, whether it is through work, school, or volunteering. Reduce your risk of many illnesses by increasing activity levels according to your abilities, getting restful sleep at night, choosing healthy foods, and exploring outdoors to reduce stress and increase energy levels. Be a lifelong learner by expanding your knowledge and finding creative outlets that stimulate your mind and sense of curiosity. Be open to new ideas, insights, and wisdom. A positive environment has a calming effect. Find surroundings that encourage good physical and mental health, and where you also feel safe. At SAMHSA, we envision a future in which people with mental and/or substance use disorders, and all people, pursue optimal health, happiness, recovery, and a full and satisfying life in the community. Wellness is an ongoing pursuit and can be challenging at times, but striving to make small daily improvements is the key to success. For more information and resources about wellness, visit www.samhsa.gov/wellness.
All right, thank you. We can move to the next slide. Just so you know, the website
Initiative.
The link at the end of that video is not currently up on the SAMHSA website. Maybe it'll be put back in the future, but right now that's not accessible. But you can find the video on YouTube. So if you look on the internet, and then hopefully we'll be able to share a link with you as well. So this is just a picture of SAMHSA's dimensions of wellness. And I just think they really break it down nicely. You can see at the top is emotional. Now, these are not in any particular order. And, you know, each of us are going to be focusing on different areas at different times of our lives. Different buckets will kind of bubble up as more important. But at the top is emotional. And this is, you know, again, coping effectively with life and creating some satisfying relationships with other people. Financial, you know, being satisfied with your current financial situation and having some sort of stability about the future, having enough resources to buy the things that you need, including medical care. Social, this is that sense of connection or belonging, right? And having a good support system. Spiritual, this is about expanding our sense of purpose or meaning of life, kind of a reason to get out of bed in the morning, right? It's not necessarily religious, although it can be for some people. It might be about a higher power for some people. But regardless, it's really about having a meaning in life and a purpose. Occupational, and I love this one because it makes they make a good point here that this is not just about work, right? This might be about school or learning. It might be about volunteering. It might be about a hobby that you're really interested in, that you work at and continue to grow your skills. Physical is the one most people think about when they think about wellness, you know, our need to be active, to have a nutritious diet, to get plenty of sleep, those types of things. Intellectual, this is an important one where we are recognizing our creative abilities and finding ways to learn more, not just have more knowledge about the world and things around us, and skills. And this is a really important for folks like me who are aging too, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. And so always trying to challenge yourself to learn new things is a way to keep your brain as sharp as it can be throughout your life. Environmental, this is another really important one. And when we get to the resources, I'll point out that the top of that page is a simple one-pager. It's called Architecture for Autism. And it kind of just explores some different things that you might consider as you're setting up your home, your loved one's room. It's geared really for, I think, people who are offering services, but it could give you good food for thought and some creativity. It talks about things like acoustics or how the room might have some echoes, how sound works in the room, having an escape space or a clear path for a person to get out of the room if they feel overstimulated or just need to get away. And then I think they go over some sensory considerations, right? Some people need an environment like this one says that are stimulating to, you know, to stay awake and to stay engaged and excited. Other people need a calm environment that's not overstimulating or triggering for them. So again, very individualized. Next slide. So this is another visual image about health. It's called Maslow's Hierarchy of Needs. Abraham Maslow was a pioneer American psychologist back in the early to mid 1900s. And he's considered to be the founder of what's called humanistic psychology. But what he's most famous for is this pyramid. And what this really proposes is that humans are motivated to fill their very basic needs before pursuing higher levels. So if you look at the bottom of this pyramid, the red, the first thing listed is air. And think about that. If you don't have air to breathe, you're not going to be able to focus on anything else, not even anything else on that bottom line, right? You're not worried about clothing and sleep if you can't breathe, right? All you're going to be focused on is I need some air, I need to get a breath. And so it is with most of the things on the bottom. If people, you know, don't have basic shelter, access to food or water, it's difficult, if not impossible, to really think about the things above there. You know, we hear about school kids who, if they're sent to school without breakfast and they're hungry, they can't focus and learn because all they can think about is that grumbly tummy, right? That they need something to eat. They can't focus on what the teacher is saying. Above those physical or physiological needs is that need for safety and security, kind of with across the board with your health, with things you own, with your family. Do you feel stable? Having a safe environment is important for all of us. It's hard to relax or focus on other things if you're worried about being harmed or intrusions into your space, whether it's your room, your home, where you are during the day. Next up that pyramid is love and belonging. This is where we talk more about connections with friends and with families. We all want some people to like us, people to love us, right? Not just the people that are paid to take care of us, but or to support us, but people have real connections in our lives. Above that is self-esteem. This is having some self-confidence, feeling like other people respect you, that they listen, and you start expressing more of a need for individuality. What makes me different and special from other people? Now, at the very top is self-actualization, and very few people spend a lot of time here. Some people never get here, and that's okay. This is where you spend more of your time thinking about morals and really digging into the kind of that meaning of life and inner potential and acceptance. So it's a different space. And like I said, some people spend some time in there, but you really got to meet all these other things to get there. And you might move up and down, right, on this pyramid. Next slide. So Stacy talked a little bit about our steering committee, and we talk a lot about our steering committee because they really do drive all the work we do here. Our steering committee members are all people with lived experience. And in our September meeting, when we had our in-person meeting in September in DC, we had a conversation with the steering committee members about this shared learning group that we're doing today, and said, so what does that mean to you? What are the things we should cover? I'm a nurse by training, so the way I think about health and wellness might be different than other people in the room. And if you look at this picture here, we have a woman, her name is Brittany, that comes to our meetings, and you can see at the bottom her website, inkybrittany.com. But she does drawings and captures a lot of things during our meetings. So this poster that you see is what the steering committee shared with us. And you'll see a lot of themes and similarities, very similar to the 3 visual aids that I just showed you. This whole idea that we can't just focus on physical or mental health. We have to look at the mind, the body, the spirit all together. We have to look at all aspects of wellness. The idea that physical health and mental health are very connected, right? We know that if we're in poor physical health, we might feel depressed, we might feel anxious. It can really come out in ways, in emotional ways. And we also know that mental health conditions cause a lot of somatic or physical conditions. People who are depressed tend to have low energy. They might not have the energy to eat, or they might really crave a lot of comfort foods. Whereas people who are having some anxiety, their heart might be beating fast. They might have trouble catching their breath, those types of things. So there's a lot of overlap or interaction between our physical health and our mental health. The committee talked a lot about self-care, that it's important that people are given the opportunity to do things for themselves, not just have people do for. And self-determination, making decisions, right? Being able to decide for ourselves what I want to do to take care of myself and what are choices I don't want to pick. They talked a lot about relationships and how having a supportive relationship with somebody, having, again, the people in your life who like you and support you, that you can lean on, that you can talk to, is very important. And how toxic relationships, right, or relationships that there are relationships that can be harmful. So we want to avoid those. And then they talked a lot about environment. Again, trying to avoid triggers, things that you find triggering your environment, talking things about noise and all that type of stuff. But the biggest message we heard, and I said this at the beginning, is that it's possible to be healthy and well while also having chronic medical conditions or disabilities. And so that's one of the reasons I kind of started with that, because it was the one message our steering committee thought was most important for us to talk about here, is that we don't ever want to, consider somebody unable to get healthy and well because of those conditions or disabilities. Next slide. So what's the goal or reason why would we want to help people get healthy and well? Well, first is to enable them to live their very best life, right? The healthier we are and the more well we feel, the more we can engage and really live our lives. It can reduce symptom burden, both emotional and physical symptoms of illness or disease. Helps people to more fully participate in certain activities if they like to walk or they like to maybe play, I don't know, pickleball. I think that's all the rage right now. Whatever it is people like to do, or intellectual things, trying to do a puzzle or coloring, all those kinds of creative things. It helps protect future health and wellness. As I said earlier, what we do today is going to make our tomorrow a little easier. And it reduces the need for crisis care and hospitalization. So both physical and mental health. So less likely that you're going to have to call 988 for a mental health crisis or call an ambulance for a physical crisis or end up in a hospital for either of those reasons. And then the last thing I have listed here is to maintain the ability to live as independently as possible. Everybody's going to have their own goals. This is not an all-inclusive list, but it gives you some good ideas of why people might want to work on that. Next slide. So how do we know if a person is healthy and well? Again, you have to be very person-centered because it's going to vary. Every person is a little different. One thing we consider is somebody's developmental stage. That for some, we can kind of go just by their age, and there are certain things we expect based on age. A healthy infant, we look for different things than we would in a healthy teenager, a healthy older adult, or someone in the geriatric category. There's just different kind of what we consider normal for physical, the physical body, what it looks like and what it can do. And same thing with our mental abilities at different ages. If you're an infant, you can't talk, for instance. But developmental stage, especially for folks who have a developmental disability, may not be aligned with their chronological age. So just because a person is 24 doesn't mean that they will have all the skills and things if they have a disability, a developmental disability. So we want to pay attention to what that stage is when we're determining if somebody is healthy and well. There's objective medical indicators. These are things you can measure, things where there's a number and we know where the average kind of normal range is, or if it's high or low. So things like blood pressure, which is a vital sign. We know when we take somebody's blood pressure, if they have high blood pressure and we need to worry, or low blood pressure and we need to worry. Same things with lab values when we measure people's glucose or sugar, maybe how many white blood cells they have, can tell us if they have an infection. And also a review of body symptoms. This is something a medical professional does when they examine you. They'll look at things like your skin color or the whites of your eyes, or they'll look at if your pupils, if your eyes constrict when they put light in it. They'll listen to your lungs. They might mash on your belly to see if there's any pain, all those kinds of things. And then there's subjective physical indicators. And this is really things that you can't measure, right? These are things that only the person can tell you. You can't tell just by looking. You can't tell by measuring. The person has to tell you. And those are things like pain, right? We might know somebody's, grimacing and walking slow. And we might say, you look like you're in pain. Are you okay? Right? Or if somebody is just really sad and, some stuff, you look like you're not feeling well today. Is there something wrong, something going on? But we won't know unless they tell us, right? So it might be, oh no, I'm not in pain. The shoes don't fit. I need to take them off, right? But nothing, once I get them off, I'll be fine. So we have to ask. And so that's kind of the last point is here. You really have to ask the person what it means to them. Is this something they live with all the time, or is this something that's unusual, and do they feel healthy and well? Next slide. So what kind of resources does a person need to get healthier and to feel better? One is self-motivation, and Stacy talked about that a little bit, right? She does things because she wants to. Nobody's making her do it. She wants to walk her dog. She wants to get out in the morning. It helps her clear her head. She's self-motivated to do that. But we also need the support from others, right? So if somebody's discouraging us, you don't want to go outside and walk. It's too cold today. You need to stay in, right? You need somebody who will help support you. Yeah, absolutely. You might want to bundle up because it's a little chilly today, right? So just a different approach. A knowledge base and health literacy. So not just knowing about things like healthy food or exercises that you can do, but being able to understand information that's shared with you. So when I say health literacy, I don't necessarily mean reading, but just that ability to understand when people tell you, explain things like exercise or diet or why sleep is important. Access to healthy food and places to exercise. We know there's food deserts. We know for people who live, for instance, in a group home, they may not get to pick their menu or pick what they get to eat. So having the ability to have choice is important, again, or the support of the people providing your food to help you eat healthier. Having a healthy environment, again, do you feel safe? Is it quiet enough to get rest at night? Are your triggers limited? And other things like good air quality and those types of things. And then finally, resources, financial. Do you have enough money to buy healthy food, to get the medical care you need and all that? And again, not an all-inclusive list, just some ideas. And with that, is Eric with us?
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Eric Washington, one of our steering committee members, and he's going to talk to you about some of his experience on his journey with health and wellness.
My name is Eric Washington. I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and I've really been eager to speak to this group, the families, because I want you guys to know that, I mean, you're kind of the real MVP, because you help when a person with any type of illness or disability or, traumatic situation, you're the shoulder to cry on, you're the arms that wrap around people to make them feel like it's okay. And, you have to be the strong one and take the brunt of all of the pain and suffering that you see from your loved ones, while also being calm in the moment. And then you have to go into the room and cry yourself, but you continuously get back up and fight that good fight. So I want to thank you all. If your loved ones or the person that you care for haven't thanked you 100,000 times, I would like to thank you for that. The key component that you guys provide in the health and wellness is belief. It's a quote. I mean, people know me, I like quotes. It's a quote that says, sometimes you have to believe in people's belief in you until your belief kicks in. So a lot of times you see a person and you say, we're going to figure this out, or we'll get it done, or we'll do it. And they're just looking at you like, all right, and eventually they do, follow your lead. If they see you frustrated, they'll become frustrated or will become frustrated. I have many times where I didn't know if things were going to work out. And it was just this one common voice when I first was in my journey of my brain injury. It was a lady named Paula Laney. And I was homeless, and she constantly kept telling me, we're going to figure this out. And she was like the voice that I needed to hear in that moment, because I was tired of getting kicked by, society of, pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you'll figure it out. You're from Detroit, you're tough, you'll figure it out. But it's kind of hard to figure it out when you're homeless, you have a halo on your head because you just had neck surgery, you have cancer. It's kind of hard to just figure out life, and it's easier said than done sometimes. My family was still in Detroit while I was in Kansas City. So I really didn't have that, touch or feel of a person just to say, like, it's going to be all right. I just had to deal with people from afar and trust that what they saw when they had dreams about where I was going was true. But when she came along, she was the right person. She was just, it's going to be all right. What do we need to do? We'll figure it out. What would you like to do? And I think that right there was like, it kept me in the game, because I was spiraling fast. I didn't have the support that I felt like I needed in that moment to be successful. And then also too, just you guys just being tough. I mean, you're the bridge between, the professionals, the direct professional staff, the doctors, and the person with lived experience. You're the bridge between both. So you actually have to, interpret information. You have to also, get the doctor to tell you exactly what's going on. And then you have to be the middle person between the person with the experience that's also frustrated with the doctor. You have to be the common voice. So I think that sometimes go unnoticed. And it's something that I've heard before, and I like it, especially in this context where it's something called like the tripod of power. When you think about a tripod, I look at, families as like that front stand, so if that front stand is gone, the whole tripod's gonna tip over. And so that's why you are the link to put everything together, the conduit to make everything go. And the resilience that you guys have to have, the endurance, the relentless love and care that you have to show. And plus, I feel like people like you guys, God didn't give you guys a towel to throw in, because you can't give up on people that you love and you want to see grow and be the best version of their self. A lot of times we think that because you have a disability, it's impossible to be well or have good health. I have cancer, so I have to really think about, like, every day I have to eat food I don't want to eat. I can't eat. I really like Burger King fries, so I go get Burger King fries and I fall asleep for like 7 straight hours. I can't eat that anymore. You can't eat sugar. You can't. There's certain things you just can't do, but that don't mean that there's not other healthy alternative options for me that I still can enjoy and still enjoy life. So it's really about having a higher quality of life. And I think that a lot of times the families can bring that all together to help people understand that it's not always how you start, it's how you finish. And just you guys' belief that it will get better helps us understand that it will eventually get better. It will. So that's it for me. I just want to thank you all for coming. I thank you all for just being the people that you are, and being very supportive. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Eric. I love listening to you tell your story. You always have some wonderful things to share. I love this quote. Sometimes you have to believe in other people's belief in you until you believe in yourself. And how many times did you hear him say thank you? So many times. He called you all the bridge, the link, right? Here we are at the Link Center. And how important it is to kind of be that person who can help ask questions or help find answers, help find alternatives when people have limitations. I know Eric talked today about how he'd been separated from family at times. I know in the past he's shared with me how important his mother was in his life and what a big support she was for him when she was with him. So just such great little tips there. So I hope you all took some of that to heart, especially those big thank yous that he shared. Next slide. All right, next slide. Thanks. All right, so here's another chat prompt. What other tips might you offer about how to get healthy and well, or more to the point, to help your loved one get healthy and well? And you can just put those in the chat. I'll give you another minute if anybody wants to share, and if not, we'll move on. It's fine. All right, regular exercise, nutrition, model the behavior. I love that, Monique. Yeah. Try to get enough sleep during tough times, be an example, exercise. Yeah, I love all these ideas about role modeling and set the example. Power of habit setting, right? I think I say it takes 60 days, right? If you want to develop a new habit, you have to do it pretty consistently for a couple of months. Okay, those are all great. Well, we have another video we want to share. If we could go to Perry's video. So this is Perry, another member of our steering committee. And Perry's going to talk in this video a little bit about going to an appointment with his doctor and realizing later, after talking with his support person, that maybe if the doctor had asked questions a little different way, he would have been able to share, Perry would have been able to share more of what they wanted to. So let's go ahead and show this slide, this video.
And then, like, sometimes I feel like because of my communication challenges, I don't always communicate like the severity of like what it is I'm going through, because like lots of different reasons, because like they don't ask the right questions too. Like 2 months ago, I went to my medicine provider and I thought, oh, I think I need my medicine adjusted again. He kept everything the same and didn't have me see him for 3 months. And I think part of it was the questions he asked and the way I answered them. Like, he asked, am I suicidal? And I asked if he meant right now or just in general. I didn't phrase it like, do you mean right this second? I mean, no, I said, do you mean right now? And he said, yes. And then I said, oh, I'm having some passive ideation, like I wish I were dead and stuff like that, but nothing like active, like I want to kill myself right this second. And then he seemed to take that as like improvement, but like, which makes sense, but like I had been actively suicidal like multiple times throughout the month or 2 months that I hadn't seen him. And like, I don't remember if this was before or after that appointment, but like even one of those times I had to go to like crisis counseling because I was having like thoughts about like going to a pawn shop and buying a gun to like use on myself. And yeah, crisis counseling and all that. Like, I feel like the question he was trying to ask is how suicidal have you been like since your last appointment? But he didn't say that, so I didn't answer that question because I didn't think that's what he was asking. I thought he was asking about right this second, how am I feeling like sitting down in my chair? And I feel like he might have done more with my meds if I had like communicated better. If the questions he asked were more like specific, like maybe like how suicidal have you been since the last time I've met? And were there any specific incidents that stuck out to you? And like, I've never been denied any type of treatment, but it feels like when we can't communicate with each other very well, like even if I'm not denied treatment, it's not like as effective as it could have been. Like a lot of times I'll get asked to rate things on a scale of 1 to 10, and I don't even know what a 10 it looks like or what a 1 looks like, and it's like, and I usually never go past like, even when I'm in the hospital, I don't usually go past like a 7 because I think, or an 8 because I think, oh, a 10 means I'm like literally about to kill myself. And then a 1 means like basically nothing, and I think, oh, I'm not literally about to kill myself right this second, so I can't be at a 10. And I think that's kind of messes with my treatment too, but like when I'm in that like crisis state, I can't think to ask, oh, what do you mean by 1 and what do you mean by 10? And like that's not a skill I can access. So it really does make it hard to get the right support when you can't always even accurately identify like my level of distress, like how badly I'm doing. Like, for example, my case manager contacted me. Like, this was months and months ago at this point, but like, just asking, am I okay? And I said yes, because I was like, I guess I'm okay. I'm not like actively in crisis right now, so I guess I'm okay. But then my like the speech pathologist that runs my social skills group, like, she asked me, did you think, oh, I'm not in the hospital, so you thought, oh, that meant I'm okay? And I'm like, oh, definitely, yes. And then she told me she thought this lady might have been asking, do you need help with anything? And that's a completely different answer. And what was frustrating with this lady, it was an IDD specific case manager, so she should have known better. But just communicating with providers, even with my device, has been a huge barrier to care. And yeah, I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, I love Perry's video, right? He makes such a good point. Asking somebody if they're okay is so different than asking somebody, is there anything you need help with, right? So I guess that's part of, as a support person or a family, to really be that bridge or that link like Eric talked about, and to help interpret, what do you mean when you're asking, if he's okay? And we just go on to the resource page if you don't mind. So yeah. And then I also wanted to say something about the scale, because Perry mentions how he did not like that scale that went 1 to 10. And one thing that can help is to mention where they were before, or to ask the provider to tell the person you're supporting, your family member, where they were. So last time we were here, Perry said he was at a 7. So Perry, what I think they want to know is, are you feeling better or worse than 7 today? Right. And if it's the first time, of course, that doesn't work. But for future visits, it can help people kind of think about what they mean. Where were you last time? Because that's what the clinical professionals do, is we see, where were you last time, and are you feeling better or worse? That's really what they're trying to get to. So I want to spend just a minute on this resource page. I mentioned this first one earlier, this Architecture for Autism. Again, it's a one-pager, and it's really about structuring treatment space, but it gives some, I think, some good visuals and a way to kind of think creatively about how to arrange space in your home or for your loved one, wherever they're living. The next one, this check-in it's a really nice checklist. It's a couple pages long. It was developed by the Tennessee Council on DD, and they go through all types of things: independence, mental health, physical health, things like food, stress level, communication. Simple checklist that you can share with providers, or just kind of to better educate yourself on where the person feels like they are right now. This next one is some tips for supporting a person's preferences with their goals. One is how to support a person during a medical appointment, which Perry just touched on a little bit. There's also some tips on supporting people with making changes to their diet, or to starting a new exercise routine, putting together a grocery list, those types of things. The next one is a video. It's an hour long, so if you want to watch it, it's a good video. But if you want, you might want to get some popcorn and settle into a comfy chair, because it is kind of long, but worth it. The next one, supporting the whole person. This is a shared learning group that we did in August of 24 that touches on some of the same things we do here, but also touches on trauma and some other things. The next one, these resources for wellness and trauma. This is developed by the Louisiana Department of Health, and there's a number of different guides, so you might want to look around on that one. And the last one is developing emotional regulation and coping skills. This was another shared learning group that we did last April that has some good tips in addition to the ones we've shared today. So with that, I am going to turn it over to my colleagues, Max and Jean, to go through our group exercise today. Thank you for your attention, and so glad to be with you today.
All right, and thank you very much for your part piece of the presentation. So I am Max, and for visual purposes, for those who can't see or have trouble seeing. I am a middle-aged black man with black hair. I am wearing a white dress shirt with very thin, like light blue stripes. I have a black tie on, and in the background is just the grayish white, uh, I guess, blank space with the Link Center logo on the top right. So what we are going to do is we are going to present a scenario that talks about health and wellness. Before I go on to that, I don't know, Jean, if you would like to introduce yourself real quick.
Sure. Thank you, Max. I'm Jean Farr, and I am an older white woman with short brown hair, black glasses, and a green kind of checkered scarf. I have a black turtleneck on, and I am in front of the same background that Max is. And as Max said, thank you all so much for everything you shared. And I'm very happy to be working with Max here. And now I'll turn it back to you, Max.
All right, thank you. So again, we will present a scenario that talks about health and wellness. And what we hope is that we hear from you about what you think about this topic through the discussion around the scenario. There is no wrong answers and ideas because we believe you are the experts of your own experiences, and we want to hear from you. The Link Center wants to know what you are thinking so we can elevate things you bring up that we haven't thought about, and so we can take action on some things as well. You can raise your hand to come off mute and even come on camera if you're comfortable, and if you want, and you can write your thoughts in the chat, or you can email us. We will put out email in the chat for you. And just remember, if you need to step away or take a minute to regulate and calm yourself, please do so. So on that note, let's get started with the scenario. All right. A year ago, Arlene had a full-time job doing data entry for her uncle's construction company. She moved out of her family home into an apartment with a roommate. Unfortunately, 2 months ago, her uncle's company went bankrupt and Arlene lost her job. She hasn't been able to find another job and may need to move back home. Arlene is behind in her bills and hasn't left her apartment much because she is feeling depressed and has ongoing headaches and stomach issues. She hasn't been in touch with any of the other employees from the construction company since losing her job. How can you support Arlene to create balance in her life and feel as healthy and well as possible? And again, feel free to, take yourself off mute or come on camera if you want. And again, there's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just your own expertise. Any thoughts? All right, so I have Nia saying, encourage her to see a counselor if there are low-cost options.
think she must,
see her
in a
family.
situation like this, Max, I can imagine how someone would feel so upset and uncomfortable, and it would be great to identify someone that she could talk to.
Yeah. Kelly says maybe set up weekly social check-in where you take her for a walk or go to lunch. Nancy says refer to her VR, which I believe says Voc Rehab, or an employment support agency. And then Eric Washington asked, does she have any family? Okay. Good question.
And maybe someone in her inner circle could
Yeah.
identify if there was somebody from the former workplace that she could kind of connect with, because she may have developed friends there.
Right. Monique says, listen and validate her situation and experience. Ask if she wants to brainstorm solutions or if she wants to share. Anybody else? These are good answers. Nancy said, let her know losing her job was not her fault. Yeah, sometimes people do feel like kind of like they're not, um, they lose confidence and maybe they could go down the route of feeling like that. I did not do a good enough job. Maybe it was me.
And I think that in exactly regarding what you're saying now, Max, people could then feel isolated.
Mm-hmm.
I think these suggestions around, encouraging her to see someone or set up a weekly social check. I think for her to be able to connect with another in whatever way she prefers might help her kind of work through this.
Yeah. Absolutely. Anybody else?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was thinking along the lines of what Nancy said. Let her know it's not her fault. But I think also what we can probably try to do is, like I said, start mapping out some ideas because it's probably a lot of trauma there. Like especially if this was her first job, you lose your first job. You don't want to, especially like in today's society with job security, like help her potentially, if she wanted to go back to school to obtain some type of certification or something to where she's almost she's in a position where she can't be fired. She can always just go land in another place, or because at this construction company, that's kind of like a niche thing, so maybe have some clerical skills to where she can learn how to type faster or something to where she can land anywhere, and keep it going. That'll probably make her a little bit more confident.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, just mapping out a plan and starting to think about things that she could work towards. Any other last minute thoughts here before we move into the second case study? And if you come up with ideas later that you wanted to share or thoughts, please feel free to add them in the chat, or even, let us know later.
Whatever you come up with is good answers too.
Think we should move on to the next one, Max?
Sure. So what are you doing?
One case study today.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry
It's
about
only
that. Let's go back and, yeah, well, let's just give it another minute or two. See if anybody. Has anything else?
All right. So Shanavan Shea, validation and support. Find out what she wants to do, create some immediate goals for self-care, and then next moves for financial security, update resume, and keep building on goals as life happens. Kelly says, I was thinking from the financial standpoint, find resources to help, maybe apply for SSI or SSDI so that she does not have to worry about her housing at this time. Especially if she doesn't have any of those programs.
Yeah,
That's a good idea.
great ideas. So many great ideas, that's for sure.
Anybody else?
Well, as we said earlier, if you come up with things you'd like to share, please reach out.
Yeah.
And I think that if we don't have any other people sharing at this point, we could turn it over to Stacy to talk about the resources and
I think it's Greg.
close out our session today.
Yep, I'll be doing the closing today. Thanks so much, Jean and Max, and to everybody who participated. I think it was, as always, really good to hear from you all and hear your experiences and your perspectives related to the topic, and especially after hearing from Wendy and Eric. So thank you again. As I said in the introduction, you were going to see this slide again, so we warned you. And thank you to those of you who have already put some things in the chat for us to check out. But please continue to add to the chat any of your go-to resources, training, websites, and just places that you go to get information and supports that, again, will really help us develop materials and inform where you go and inform the work that we do around this topic of health and wellness. So feel free to pop things in the chat. That would be great. So here's the schedule of past and upcoming shared learning groups. You can find the recordings, transcripts, and some other materials from past events on our Link Center website. You can find and register for upcoming shared learning groups on the website as well. And the next topic will be communication in clinical settings, and that is slated for April 2026. As I said before, you can visit the Link Center's website at any time, and we encourage you all to check in with us often. We are constantly curating and finding new resources and putting them up on our website for you all. Again, the acl.gov link address for our website is live, and you can check us out today. But after today, starting tomorrow, you can use that QR code and the www.thelinkcenter.org link. And again, we'll drop that in the chat, but that's will be up and running tomorrow. We also encourage you all to email us at the Link Center if you have any questions or suggestions based upon the information that you heard today, or just generally related to the work that we're doing here at the Link Center. We look to you all as part of our community, informing the work that we do as well. So thank you again for participating today, and a special thank you to Wendy Morris and Eric Washington. And we would like to thank our steering committee, as always, for sharing their thoughts and experiences. They are truly invaluable to these shared learning groups. Thank you also to ACL and to all of the partners for contributing to the preparation of the content for this meeting. And finally, we'll leave you with a QR code for our quick evaluation. And we really, truly do hope that you'll take just 5 more minutes of your time. We're ending a little earlier than anticipated, so maybe you can use that time to just take a moment to use and scan that QR code with your phone. There's also a link in the chat, and another link will pop up when we close today, and another one in your email, because we're really serious about hearing from you all and getting your feedback on about your experience with the shared learning group today. We sit down as partners, as we just did yesterday, as partners, and really took a look at our last round of shared learning groups that we hosted in October, because we use the feedback to make improvements and adjustments for future webinars and other products for you all. So that's all that we have for you today. Again, thank you so much for joining us, and we really hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much.